Welcome back to Your 1230, the only podcast where our guests tell their story with the help of 12 questions in just 30 minutes. Today, we are really excited to be speaking with Athena Brownson. Denver's real estate market is highly competitive, making it challenging for buyers and sellers to navigate. That's where Athena Brownson, a well-known expert in the industry, comes in. As a Colorado native with a background in residential development and interior design, Athena brings a unique perspective to her role as a real estate agent and team principal of the Vesta Collective at Compass Real Estate. Despite battling Lyme disease, Athena has managed to rank in the top 15% of brokers in the country, according to Homesnap, and she is committed to building lifelong relationships with her clients. Her goal is to be a trusted advisor for all their real estate needs, not just one transaction. With her extensive experience in writing strong contracts and educating clients on the necessary elements to win a property, Athena has helped numerous clients come out victorious in multiple offer situations. Let's build something great together with Athena Brownson. Athena, welcome. We are really happy to have you here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, and what a lovely introduction. I appreciate the beautiful words.
Of course. So you've got quite a background, and there's a lot of things to kind of follow up on there. But first, I'd like to start with most of people who have followed the real estate market the last few years know that it has been cyclical. It's been up, it's been down, it's been a little bit all over the place. But you've managed to thrive and help your clients in all different types of situations. How have you been able to do that?
That is an excellent question that continually evolves. I've been a real estate agent for about 9 years, and as you mentioned in the intro, I grew up in the industry, so I have seen market cycles before. However, Denver is a very insulated market, so we have not had a ton of ups and downs in the last, I would say, up until April of last year. It was pretty much just up. We have a very strong appreciating market. So when the Fed very quickly increased interest rates last around April and May, it was kind of like whiplash, I would say. We went from a full sprint to almost a screeching halt within weeks. And it became very clear that the key to surviving in a changing market was going to be to innovate. We couldn't just work as we had been working, which of course was we were always working very hard, but it was time for the agents that were serious about helping their clients and making sure that we were still assisting people that did need to buy and sell, because there are always going to be people and situations that have to engage in real estate even when interest rates go up. So how do we as agents adapt? For me personally, I have a background in athletics, and the importance of coaching and mentorship has been something that is a constant necessity and important, a really important part of my life and my business. So I am very grateful to be a part of an incredible coaching program that keeps us on a very strict regimen in terms of what activities I'm doing every single day. So we actually, in a normal week, pre interest rates going up, I should say, I might call 70 people for my homework assignment. Well, we were looking at, okay, how can I connect with closer to 100 people? How can I have face-to-face conversations and meetings with, 7 people a week? What am I doing to get in front of people, connect with people authentically, and educate them on how we can actually use this market to our benefit? Because it is an opportunity that, especially here in Denver and a lot of other very thriving markets, we haven't had the opportunity for buyers to really have any power in the last 8 years. You're looking at waiving inspections, paying way over appraised value, trying to beat 20 offers. So this was an opportunity that, yes, interest rates are higher, but we can actually get you a property for a bit of a better deal, and you can refinance later on. So I think the key in all regards for me being successful is education. And that means being educated myself and then being able to educate my consumer on everything that they need to know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the market, and then assist them the best that I possibly can through whatever situation that they've gone through. So that's my long-winded answer on the importance of coaching and mentorship.
I won't say long-winded. That was really kind of a great way to walk through what it
Good.
was like during that time. I don't want to call Denver a unique market, but it certainly is different than most.
Yeah.
And the way that you position it as, I love the word whiplash there, that it's kind of just came to a halt and it's like, okay, we need to change the approach. Is that you realize that, but you positioned it in a way that you can still help your buyer clients.
Yeah.
For anybody listening who's thinking that, I'm thinking about doing real estate and I can make a lot of money and it's not that hard. That's 100 conversations in a week, if not more. So just think about the number of face-to-face, number of dials that goes into that. So it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, I think I've been doing about 80 to 90 hours a week, 7 days a week. And I'm lucky that I love my job very much, but I think real estate gets a rap for being, oh, deals will just fall into my lap. I wish that was the case, but it is not.
No, that's certainly the case that you've got, especially now in a market like this. The interesting thing is that, with a market that's 25% down, the
Mm.
good real estate agents, the professionals who understand that, no, well, there's still 75% of deals that are happening. So how can I be part of those? And a great way to do that is to talk to more people. So that I applaud that effort and having
Thank
that
you.
number of conversations a week.
A
Was that
lot.
always, yes, it is. Was that always easy for you, or how have you gotten better at that over time?
Oh my goodness. It is still something that I struggle with on a daily basis. I have I am a social person. I love building relationships with people. I love one-on-ones, face-to-faces, but even though it's not cold calling, I'm calling my sphere, I'm calling my past clients, VIPs, maybe local business owners that I don't know. I do not necessarily enjoy picking up the phone and making call after call because I want to make sure that any interaction I'm having, whether it's over coffee or over a phone call, is authentic and it does not feel like a contrived sales pitch. So I'm very thoughtful into what I'm talking about with these people. I look on their Facebook. Has it what major life events have happened? How can I really just connect with them authentically? But it is absolutely exhausting and mentally draining to interact with that many people in a day. So I 100% have to give myself pep talks almost on a daily basis for as long as I've, been in real estate and in coaching programs. And um I'm sure we'll get into it, but with a lot of my health challenges, sometimes talking on the phone is not even possible. I get migraines constantly. I have an electromagnetic frequency sensitivity that if I'm flared up for, which generally happens 1 or 2 days a week, my phone will give me electrical burns up my hands. So I
Oh,
legitimately have to put on protective lead gloves and a lead blanket on those days to make my calls. So talk about a challenge. Like it is absolutely something that is not easy by any means.
no, and I think most people would say I'm facing those challenges. It's a lot
Mhm.
easier just not to do the work, but here you are with the equipment that you need to kind of push through. So we are certainly going to get to that. I just do want to highlight when you mentioned being authentic and
Yeah.
thoughtful. I think that's also the key. That there's something like, I can make $500 a week. You might be able to, but it's not about kind of just calling whoever will answer. It's about having a valuable conversation, because otherwise you're just dialing for the sake of dialing. And then hit on the point that it is mentally draining because you're having these conversations where you're asking questions that you actually care what the answer is, you're following up, and you're providing information that's valuable. So that's fantastic. I really applaud that effort, and it's really the right way to
Thank
do it.
you. It is. I think it's 100% necessary in any business to, we're talking quantity here. Like, obviously, when I say 100 phone calls, that's quantity, but the quality piece, if it's not there, then you have to dial it back and figure out what it looks like for you to make authentic connections with. Maybe start with 30 people a week and then make it 40. Because if you're everyone gets that sales pitch phone call, even if it's from a friend, and all you want to do is get off the phone. So figure out how you could not be that person and then go with that.
That's good advice. I do want to ask you about the migraines, and in the bio part of that is struggling with Lyme disease and battling with that. How did you discover that you did have Lyme disease? And for those listening who may not know, what does that entail on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis?
Yeah. So it is something that has completely changed my life, did a complete 180 in a very short amount of time. So I was a professional skier in my past life. I like to say I skied 300 days a year all over the world. I got paid to ski. I lived in, New Zealand, Argentina, Germany. I was probably working out or on snow upwards of 16 hours a day. And I unfortunately, I had a huge amount of surgeries and injuries over my career, but I decided to retire after blowing a couple of discs in my neck.
Oh,
Well, while I was recovering from that surgery, I started getting some very real strange infections over and over again, like E. coli. I got salmonella, like all of these things that your body actually has the ability, it should have the ability to fight off at a certain degree. And my body was clear something was wrong. I am extremely fortunate that I had a doctor here in Denver, shout out Dr. Pressmack, who looked at me, at my medical history, and said, we're missing something here. I think we should test you for Lyme disease. Now, Lyme is becoming one of the most prevalent and quickly rising diseases in the country, and a lot of people don't know anything about it, and I didn't either. I thought he was crazy when he said that. But apparently at some point in my career in skiing, probably in Oregon or Vermont, a heavily wooded area, I was bit by a tick. I got chronic Lyme disease. It lay dormant in my body until I had a circumstance, aka breaking my neck, that weakened my immune system enough that it could take over. So after having neck surgery, I quickly became very ill on many levels. My energy went out the window, and I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. This is 5 years ago. And since that, Lyme basically attacks whatever you're genetically predisposed to. So it looks different in everyone, and that's why it's hard to diagnose. It can look like rheumatoid arthritis for someone. It can be psychiatric for another. It is a very intelligent bug that will look at your genetics and attack wherever your weak spot is. Well, my weak spot happened to be autoimmune issues. So worse than Lyme disease, I quickly went down a downward spiral of autoimmune diseases that completely wiped me out. I am 5 years in now, and just the last year is the first time that I've been able to find any relief. I have an autoimmune disease that attacks my nerves. So it attacks the protective covering on my nerves. And I had about 2 years while I was working, and I think work has kept me sane through all of this, but that I felt like all my arms and hands had such bad neuropathy that they felt like they were on fire, and I could barely use my hands for 2 years. So now I have found a kind of something that it's at least keeping my symptoms at bay. Every 3 weeks, I have 4 days of plasma transfusions and immunoglobulin infusions. So they take out 33 pounds of blood, basically have a
Wow.
centrifuge that separates the plasma. They get rid of my plasma, replace it with someone else's, and then I get someone else's immune system pumped into me. So I'm doing that through a port in my arm every 3 weeks, and I rarely feel good, honestly. It's been something that has been extremely challenging. But I call myself the luckiest sick person ever because I have extremely supportive friends, real estate team, family, and I have some of the best doctors you could ever ask for. So my goal is to really be able to connect with more people that are struggling with chronic illness and kind of help them find their why through it. Because for me, real estate has been my guiding light. It's when I don't feel like getting up in the morning because I'm so sick or in so much pain, but I know that I get to show an amazing client beautiful properties, and it keeps my eyes moving forward. And honestly, it's been my saving grace. It's been my why, and it's been the reason that I've been able to kind of adapt over the last 5 years. So that's kind of the long and short of it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Athena. I know it
Yeah,
can't be easy to talk about, but it is helpful, I'm sure, for many others who
I hope
are
so.
having a tough day, week, or they're kind of just having a difficult time facing the circumstances that are ahead of them.
Yeah.
What you describe cannot be easy for anyone. And we've talked before, we even talked before
Mhm.
recording today that um, you've got an athletic background, you're a competitive person, you're obviously 16 hours a day is a lot. So from going
A
from
little
that kind
slight.
well, I'm not gonna say that, but going from that kind of physical conditioning to laying in a bed with a broken neck and
Yeah.
getting this diagnosis that it's like, I don't even know what this is. I mean, again, shout out to Dr. Pressman.
Yeah, good job. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, it's wonderful when you've got that team of medical support.
Oh, it's
But
incredible.
what were you thinking right there? I mean, that can't be an easy transition to go from, "Hey, I was skiing 6 days a week every week," to, I don't know what is gonna be what tomorrow's gonna look like."
Yeah, I didn't realize the gravity of what I was about of the journey that I was about to embark in, honestly. I had absolutely zero knowledge of Lyme disease, of autoimmune diseases. So, although I did have a medical team that was extremely literate in making these very complex mechanisms within the body, they were explaining it it was like medical information for dum-dums. They made it very understandable, but I did not compute how drastically my life would change, and the fact that it was just the beginning, and that I mean, I would kill for a single day of feeling even halfway decent. I don't think I've felt okay in over 5 years now. And I I think that being a competitive athlete has was my saving grace in a way, because I it's always kept me very, very mentally tough. It taught me mental toughness, and it taught me the tools that I would absolutely need in order to get through this. And I hate to say that, we're only faced with things that we can handle. But as I've gone through this journey and as I go through it, I believe that there is a reason that I've had this put on my plate, because it felt for a long time, I went through a period of being angry and really mourning the life that I once had. I don't even remember what it's like to have energy. I am pretty much, I get myself through the day with things like Celsius, not the best, but it does the trick. And I was a little bit ignorant, and especially as I got this sensitivity to electronics, which was basically because I have no protection on my nerves. Especially in places like my hands and arms. So when a radio wave, a radiation frequency comes in, it basically hits me directly in the nerve. So being able to do research and try to find people that were going through something similar was almost impossible. So it can feel very isolating. And unfortunately, it was very isolating for a while. And now I've kind of come through to the other side of, I'm gonna 100% get through this. I'm not going to rely on plasma transfusions my whole life. I'm gonna try absolutely anything I need to, do whatever it takes to heal my body 100%. And again, I think that's a little bit of the athlete in me that sees a challenge and will not be taken down by it, I guess.
No, your story is such an inspiring one, and I think
Thank
you're right when
you.
you mention of course, when you mentioned the skiing background, being a competitive athlete to help with the mindset, with the help with the both the physical strength and the mental. I mean, the notes I just wrote down, I think were really important. The mental toughness, the understand this is just the beginning. This is difficult, but this is now going to be my new normal, and this is
Totally.
going to be something, as you mentioned, it's a 5-year odyssey so far with ups, downs, and you're not sure what the next 5 year the every 3 weeks. That sounds like quite a burden, and I'm sure you would rather be at least five other places, if not 500. So
Totally.
thank you for sharing that. I know
Of course.
there's plenty of people listening to this who are facing something in their life that's like, this is difficult for me, but it's not what I know others are not only facing, but are thriving through and with and because of. Because the thing I wrote down first was your why, that you've discovered why you do what you do, and helping others in the real estate world is that for you. How, kind of going back to your work, and
Yeah.
also wrote down work being, keeping you sane. How do you show that this is why I get up in the morning. This is why I fight through all of that's why I do these 3 days. This is why I want to be here, or every 3 weeks. This
Yeah.
is why I want to be with you. How do you communicate that? You got your calls, but when they're in front of you, how do you display that without saying this is why I got up today?
Totally. It's been a very evolving and challenging dynamic for me to understand what the right approach is. And I don't necessarily know that there is one right approach to expressing and what you're going through, because from the exterior, I generally look very healthy. They call it invisible illness for a reason. I had a big port hanging with tubes hanging out of my chest for about 18 months until I got this port in my arm that's a lot more, it's hidden. So it doesn't, it's not glaringly obvious. So that was a conversation starter. But honestly, I have found that the best way for me to express what I'm what what my life looks like. I'm not even going to say what I'm facing, but what the fact that I will be in the hospital every 3 weeks for a few days. And if I am in the hospital, my incredible assistant will be available to show, and I'll be working while I'm getting a plasma transfusion. I'll be writing contracts. I'll be doing, I get set up at the hospital, and I plug in and I work. But I've found that the best way is to take down the barrier and be extremely authentic in, this is what my life looks like right now. I'm not shy about sharing it because I do believe that everyone has their own forms of adversity and that we encounter. We all encounter times in our lives that are extremely challenging, be it losing your job, losing your health, losing a loved one. There's such a wide variety of things that we all face. And I think it's important to recognize and articulate that you are having that challenge, and it's something that is a big part of your life, but it's something that I will not let get the best of me, and that I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to take my mind off of it by engaging in real estate with you and being a part of your journey and building that relationship. My clients have, for the most part, become family. I mean, they're people that I look forward to talking to and that I can't wait to see, come visit at their 1-year home anniversary. And I truly believe that I'm able to form those lifelong relationships because I'm able to be vulnerable with them. And I'm able to say, there are some days that are really bad and I've got a team for a reason. I like to make light of it often and kind of, because that's what you have to do, when things are hard, we have the option of closing ourselves off in the dark, and maybe you need to do that for a little bit. But I've found that the more I can share my story and express how difficult it is, but express that I have so much gratitude for the ability to still stand up and show houses and write contracts and negotiate. And I always say that if I can survive this, like, do you want an agent fighting for you that is fighting for their life because that person knows how to fight? And if I can fight to keep going, I guarantee that I can fight for your transaction harder than most people will ever know how to. So that's kind of a way that I like to relate it to people, and it usually gets a pretty good giggle.
I mean, I absolutely love it. And I remember when I hung up after our pre-call, I was like, she is an ass kicker. I cannot wait to talk to her. And you have not disappointed one bit. So
Well, that's the goal. Thank you.
thank you for sharing that story, because you're right that sometimes it's easy to talk about it, and it can be helpful for countless people out there. So thank you very much for being so open and candid. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. I hope that it helps someone at least gain a little bit of momentum and getting through whatever they're going through.
Of course. And one thing I wanted to follow up on, is we're somehow almost on time. I could certainly ask you questions all night, but I will not do that. You mentioned having a great team at work, having a support system at home. How have you been able to, I don't love the word assemble, but how have you been able to kind of bring these people near you and function as both a professional, a personal unit, and be so highly productive, highly successful?
Totally. I like to say it's because I fell on my face a lot. I definitely, number one, when it comes to my team, I am not great at hiring. I tend to sit down and see the best in situations that maybe aren't the best fit for me. So I trial and error, had a couple assistants that very quickly didn't work out. I was actually, a year and a half ago, I was hospitalized for a little over 6 weeks, and I was doing plasma transfusions every other day. So I was getting my butt kicked. I had tubes sticking out of my neck. I still got 3 properties under contract in that time, just want to say. But my amazing brokerage compass came across a young lady who is a licensed realtor who didn't necessarily love the client-facing aspect of it, but wanted to be involved in real estate. And they thought she would be a great assistant for me. So I met her right as I was actually, like, the night before I got admitted to the hospital. And we've worked together for about a year and a half now. And she's, awesome. I like to say she's my assistant, but she's my boss. She is 100% detailed, structured, systematized human that I need in my life in order to be as successful as I can be by making face-to-face contact, by making calls. She's helping make sure that I don't drop any balls. I also have a agent on my team who I've known for 13 years now, and she came to me about right as the pandemic was about to hit and said she had just gotten licensed and would love to kind of study under me as her mentor. And I was like, you want me to mentor? Sure. And she ended, she's on my team and one of the most incredible agents that I've ever met. She took off quicker than any agent I've ever seen. So I'm very grateful to have them, but it definitely came through trial and error. And honestly, when it comes to my tribe, I like to call it, it was extremely difficult in learning really who my people were when times got ugly, because I, as a very social person, was consistently, you know, I had social events every night and I had a lot of quote unquote friends and I had a lot of people that were in my life that I didn't necessarily realize would not be there when I wasn't able to go, do things every night or get tickets for concerts or games or whatever it may be. And that was a really tough adjustment, but I think when things get hard, you see very clearly the people that are meant to be in your life and in your circle and your tribe. And there's nothing more valuable in life than knowing who the people are that you can call at 3 o'clock in the morning with whatever you're facing, and they'll be there for you. And I can say so gratefully that I learned who those people were in my life, and it was difficult, but it's been the most beautiful transformation and understanding of real authentic relationship, and also how I could be there for those people as well, because they have shown up for me in my darkest hour. So I can't say enough about how grateful I am for the people around me, and my parents. They live about an hour and a half away in Breckenridge. They're big skiers still. They're the neatest people in the universe. I love them to death. But my mom comes down to Denver almost for every plasma transfusion I have every 3 weeks. And to be able to have that support is something that I will never take for granted. I will appreciate every second of every day, because I think that it can be a challenge. Obviously, relationships with anyone can be a challenge, but when things get hard in your life, the importance of taking a step back and really evaluating what your needs are, how you can be there for other people too, like your people as well, but understanding that again, quality over quantity. You don't need 100 friends. You having 3 or 4 that'll be there no matter what is one of the most valuable things you can have in life, and they're stuck with me forever. So I hope they know that.
I'm sure they do. And as you said, they're both, both at work, with your friends, with your family, having those that are going to be there, have your back, that you can count on. That's the most valuable thing. And you've come across each of those in different ways. And I love the way you got there. And you started your answer with, "I'm not good at." Most people don't know what they're not good at. So the fact that you can acknowledge that and then
I have
strengthen
plenty of things.
strengthen that by bringing the right people around you is great. And it is sad when we find out who we can count on and who we can't. But as you said, it's if you have those 3 or 4, that's really all you need, if they're the right 3 or 4. Uh, I will end
Definitely.
here.
I could talk to you all night too, so I can
I
I
appreciate
appreciate
that.
it.
What was your event skiing? Were you downhill? What was your favorite?
Yeah, so I grew up as a racer. My dad was actually a speed skier. Which meant that he went down the mountain in a tuck as fast as he possibly could and got clocked going. I think his record was 127 so miles an hour. So I grew up in a family of crazies, but I grew up in racing. I loved downhill. And then when I was about 15, I decided to go to the dark side and I switched to slope style and half pipe. So I did events like Dew Tour, X Games, just hucking myself off giant jumps, doing as many spins as I could. And, I did 9 ACL surgeries. So I
Oh my
definitely
goodness.
paid for it, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, I love the enthusiasm. 9
Yeah.
ACLs would knock most people out, but not you. Athena, where can our listeners find you if they want to learn more, connect, or just
Yeah.
to learn more about your story?
I would love to connect with anyone, so please don't hesitate to reach out. The easiest way is just go to my Instagram, which is Athena, Athena Brownson, BROWNSON, Realtor, REALTOR. And that has my phone number, my email, my website, links to all these great, like this podcast will be posted on my website. So you can hunt me down in a variety of ways, and I would love to chat with you about really anything. So don't be shy.
Awesome. Athena, this was fantastic. We will post all that information in the show notes. Athena,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for joining us. I love your story and thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate being able to share my story.